Good morning, beautiful people. Today is November 6th, I believe. I'm so bad with dates, but I believe it's November 6th of 2025. And every morning when God wakes me up and we have conversations and He gives me things to ponder on and gives me things that I need to know for me and things that I need to help other people see and share with them as well. And usually I'll put a long post. Anyone who knows me, I have that gift. Yep, got the gift to gab, whether it's in print, voice, phone, it doesn't matter. However you're getting me, you're getting a long story. But I'm starting to learn that those long stories are all God for a lot of the really, really, really long ones. And I kept praying to God and telling God, hey, I think we need to get to them a little bit different than just, posting all these words. And I know that I don't get a lot of likes on them, and that's okay. I don't get a lot of conversations about them. That's okay. However, what I do know is I'm posting them. And I do know that people are reading them. I also do know that people are reading them without liking them, without commenting, without saying anything. And so at the end of the day, till God calls me home, whenever God decides that's going to be, I will make sure that I am sharing His word so that everybody can start to see, and anyone who believes can make their faith stronger. Anyone who doesn't believe, that's great. It's okay. That's your choice. But I'm really praying that through my life, through my story, through what God is telling me to tell you guys, that will help to build your belief and your trust in God. The truth is, people, without God, none of us would walk this earth, whether you believe it or not. However, I've been asking God, can you give me more confidence to be on video? And if anyone truly knows me, confidence has been something I've struggled in my entire life, due to being bullied inside and outside of the home, bullied also in a marriage, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. So my confidence was like tanked. But you know what? God gave me this amazing man, Anthony, that walked this earth, that he made sure that I knew I was beautiful. And he didn't even have to say the words. It was in his actions. It was in the way he made me feel. So Anthony started the confidence, and he still stays here in his own way that he can be here, to still help me build that confidence, to still help me see that I am beautiful, that I am confident, that I am who God made me to be. And that if people don't like it, they don't like it. It is what it is. That's fine. And even if you guys see my hair, it's amazing what God is doing with my hair. That in itself is another whole long story. Look up hair in the Bible. You'll understand with it. But definitely God is doing leaps and bounds just through my hair, and literally just since this summer when my spiritual warfare happened. However, this morning when I was in the shower talking to God, because I just talk to God whenever and randomly, He was giving me stuff to talk about, and I was like, okay, God, but I don't know if I should put that all in print, because there was a ton. And I know as I speak, God's going to bring it out, because that's just what happens. And when I was speaking to one of my friends a few weeks ago, who told me he wished he recorded it, and I said, I wish you did too, because when it comes, it goes. God just flows right through me, and it is what it is. You need to catch that train. So hopefully with me making videos, that will help people catch the train. They can go back, replay it, listen. But God told me this morning that now is the time to make videos instead of print. So I will have some print. I'll have some videos. I don't know what they'll be. God will just guide me as I go. I don't know what He wants me to do with them, but I'm going to start posting them. I have some that I had already made in YouTube a few months ago And I'll probably resurrect some of those and put them in my Facebook, but I probably will, I don't know, maybe make a separate Facebook page. We'll see. I don't know, wherever God tells me to go. However, it's really funny that I don't have confidence on camera, but God has groomed me for many years, even before I knew it. He was grooming me. Like, if anyone knows my whole story, like, I literally used to pray for laryngitis so I would not have to speak in front of the class. And then God was like, here, become a trainer. So he made this path, and I met these amazing trainers. And one of them, who is a great dear sister to me, Barbara Mitchell, that was seated in my life to help build my path to what we thought was just the earthly of, okay, she's gonna train, you know, kind of thing, to where God was like, I see you, I feel you, I know what's going on. This is what I'm shaping you to do, and you're going to utilize these people to help me. So God knew what he was doing, and before we knew it, he evolved me from just training into, you know, many of you know, I do teach for GCU online at nighttime, which was something I never thought I would do, that I would teach, but I did. And God said he knew. Just like if anyone knows about my path, I did a life coaching certificate because I was bored, is what I thought. God said, after he took my brother to heaven, and I kept asking the why, what am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to do with this? And he started showing me I am supposed to use my life coaching certificate to be a grief life coach to help other people grieve. The earthly part, not the spiritual part. So God still has me in development for that. And it's a beautiful journey. And I know it's really sad that the reason why it started on the earthly side, people are probably like, this lady's crazy. She's taking her grief and she's doing this with it. I'm not doing it. God's doing it. And God started it when he took my brother to heaven. He amplified it when he took Anthony to heaven. Two of my biggest hearts that have left this earth. And I'm going to try not to cry because that's the earthly part. I know my guys are here all the time and people may think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Think I'm crazy. It's all right. But it's literally called the connection theory, by the way, as what I've learned in my grief class. However, I'm learning a lot in there, and I'm so excited to take these classes, but mentally and emotionally for the earthly side, they take me a little bit longer to get through, and I'm working on that. I just have to learn to be patient, be still, rest, and focus, and just let God do the work and not be so hard on my earthly self with it. So I'm working through that with God. However, this morning when God and I were talking, interesting enough, it was stemming from me still thinking about my friend Akezia, who sent me a series of videos to watch, which, Akezia, if you're watching this, please don't be mad. I've only watched one so far, but I really need to get to all the others. But I appreciate you sending them all to me. They will absolutely get watched when they're supposed to be watched. But interesting enough, when I first started to watch the first video, Satan does what Satan does, and Satan wouldn't let me open it. He wouldn't let me play it. All these wonky things were happening, and the only thing that got displayed was the name of the apostle, which, interesting enough, all I saw was Anthony, because his name was Apostle Dr. Anthony, and I cannot recall the last name, but, you know, I was lost at Anthony at that point. So that made my heart jump in so many directions. So finally, Satan's like, here, watch it, right? So I finally could get through and watch it. So the first one I watched was about generational curses. So since that day, I've thought an awful lot about generational curses. And I know that there is one on my side of the family. It has been shown to me and told to me by so many different ways. And that it started with my grandmother on my mom's side. So that's another whole long story. If you ever want to hear it, I will absolutely share the story on how I know all of this. However, with that, it came on my side, and it looks like it's kind of skipped my sister. And I'm trying to figure out this curse, like trying to figure it out ever since I learned that. Like, which direction do I go? What do I do? Those kind of things with it. So I've kind of like let that sit. And if anyone knows about me, I do have 3 girls. I have, my oldest is Ambrosia, which she is now 30, by the way, which, interesting enough, I then have the 18-year-old Kimara, and I also have my 11-year-old Zepeda. I don't know why I'm blanking right now. Sorry, the earthly distractions. See how that's happening? Anyways, with my girls, unfortunately, the one that is completely disconnected from me is Ambrosia, and I love her far more than she even knows. And anyone who truly knows me as a mother and has seen me as a single mother through my entire life, even when that marriage or whatever that was happening, I was still a single mother. And I would do everything earthly beyond to help my children and take care of them and do everything I need to. And I'm starting to learn earthly, I was doing everything. Unfortunately, I do believe Ambrosia has a huge spiritual battle that she is battling. And spiritually, I need to get more and more and more and more, right? So I'm growing. And unfortunately, that was something that church has stopped me from growing all those years because they weren't teaching me. I wouldn't start truly learning until I met Anthony. And then it starts amplifying and growing. And then I have people in my life like Akezia and other people that are helping to grow my faith and to show me and speak to me and show me different things. I have so many people that God has seated, right, to help me to grow my faith and to get closer to God. And God is moving them to me, and I'm moving with them, right? Moving with God. And that video of generational curses has sat with me. Like, I was thinking about things he was saying about how we create generational curses as well. And when he said that, I was like, I haven't created any curses. Like, I know I'm not a saint, but I have tried to be the best mama that I can. And I tried to do different than my parents. And I love my parents immensely, but we all know we are parenting different than how our parents parented at us way back in the day, because, you know, they didn't have all the stuff we have now. They don't have all the knowledge that we have. They did the best they could, and I love them immensely. So I tried in my own way to be a mama in the earthly sense, right? Nobody ever instilled in me as a mama how important it is for the spiritual side of us. And so I'm identifying where, unfortunately, spiritual warfare has happened based on my lack of knowledge in the spiritual world and my connection to God. So these are things God's working on me with. So when he was saying about we create our own, I was thinking about, 90s music. Like, I love 80s music. 80s music is so great, right? The 90s come and we're all, y'all 90s people know exactly what I'm talking about. We're all like, wow, this is cool. We got rap, right? Rap is speaking all this stuff. And everybody who knows me, I love my Pac. I will always love Pac. And Pac is different because there's a lot of songs he had that were not just the shoot 'em up, calling women bees, all this other stuff, right? So if you truly know Pac and know him as a poet and you could see him as a person, you would know he's different than the rest of them. That's why he has so many issues, by the way, with the other groups. But anyways, then we got my boy Snoop, which, I've evolved in my Snoop world. I still love him, but I'm starting to see a lot of other stuff. So that's another thing that you can see a divide with that. But anyways, if you think of their music and then you think of, my very first, boy group that I fell in love with was Boyz II Men. Boyz II Men, I still remember seeing them on Arsenio Hall. And I remember hearing my mom say, oh, they're not going to make themselves out of anything. So, of course, every time I went to a concert, which legit, I was going literally every year. I even put off my gallbladder surgery to go see them, by the way. I'd go see them every year. And every year I'd go, I'd be like, Mom, I thought they were going to make themselves out of anyone. Kind of thing. Because, of course, it's the generational thing. My mom didn't like the music. I liked the music. Nobody ever likes what their kids like. It happens, right? We learn that as parents. So, anyways, Boyz II Men is, that soft, loving R&B group. They like to do the back in the day stuff, those things, right? So they're there in that sense to where they're amazing and they are speaking of love. Even if some of their songs were a little questionable, they weren't rough, they weren't vulgar by all means. And so that's where I started in the music world. And then it evolved to, I'm listening to Jodeci and good old Keith Sweat. And even Keith Sweat, Keith has some good love songs, and a lot of men don't like him because they think that he whined too much, and that's why. However, he also has some stuff that got pretty intense in the end. So if any of you guys remember back in the early 90s when we were all in high school acting a fool and listening to this music, and guess what? Through that music, we were creating behaviors. Now, my behaviors of decisions that were made in those times were a lot deeper than just the music that I was listening to, but it also was a path that happened in my life that I don't speak about and that I process through and I heal through. However, that's where a lot of mine stem from. But the music didn't help. And you think about it, the music is what Satan can use to get us, right? I even look at the last time I went to a Jodeci concert that I cried and it ended up taking me back to my ex, because guess what? That was the foundation of our relationship. You guys can read between the lines, you know what that is. And that wasn't what was supposed to be.